Finally today, not an interesting raise, but an interesting Kickstarter. This is one of those ideas where when I heard it, I was like, of course, why didn't anyone/I think of this sooner? You love board games? You might find it annoying that each board game requires, its own board. Tends to take up a lot of shelf space in your closet, right? Well, what if someone designed a piece of digital hardware that could offer interchangeable boards for tabletop games? Would be super convenient, but also potentially a very good business because you'd be a literal platform for board games. Quoting the Next Web, the SquareOne board game console has a large touchscreen display that changes depending on what you're playing. It wouldn't be very impressive otherwise, right? The hardware is also connected to the pieces you're using in the game, meaning the SquareOne can track and recognize specific cards, dice rolls, and the figures you're using to play. I'll have to judge how this operates in reality, but I'm a huge fan of the concept. Effectively, Wisma, the company behind the SquareOne, wants the console to be a blend between computer and board games, cherry-picking the best of both worlds to try and provide a new experience. This is why the board games console has a number of features that should elevate the usual tabletop experience, including online play with friends, dynamic tutorials, and the option to save and resume games. At the moment, the main games on the console include titles like Air Hockey, Snake and Ladders, Chinese Checkers, and Ludo. In other words, quite generic titles that don't really have the deeper board game experience of classics like Settlers of Catan or Ticket to Ride. But it won't be this way for long. Wisma has partnered with Ravensburger, a German games publisher, to bring more titles to the SquareOne, while Urban Rivals and Cthulhu Wars are on their way to the board games console soon. Excitingly, Wisma has also announced it's opening up the SquareOne to independent developers in 2021, end quote. Wisma is currently running a Kickstarter for the SquareOne, and the console is expected to debut also sometime next year.